Hi, today I'd like to show you the Prism Squared quilt. Just like a real prism fractures the light and gives you all those beautiful colors, we've fractured our fabric into bits of all the colors of the rainbow. To do this, we made strip sets of fabric, cut those into wedges, and that gives us rays. And you can see here that we have rays of bright colors and rays of softer, lighter colors. That bright light combination is what gives our quilt dimension and movement. To do this, you'll need a 10-degree wedge and an extension square tool. You'll also, of course, need the pattern, and this pattern comes with a little mini tool that creates the center of your project. When you take a look at this, you might feel this is kind of daunting, but I want to show you step by step how you can make this project. First, let's talk about the rainbow fabrics. You'll need 12 brights and 12 lights. For the project I made, I used Serendipity Color Wheel Gradation Series. Here's one of the pieces. Notice that the gradation repeats along the center fold. I cut strips, then I opened them up, stacked the layers together, and then I cut the individual strips. You can also make this project with regular fabric. Small prints, solids, or something that reads as a solid works the best. First, cut a 9-inch strip, then subcut it into strips along the lengthwise grain. Here you see the bright strips, and here are the light strips. Before you start sewing, get your pattern out. Follow the diagrams for each strip set, starting on page 5 and going through page 7. Be sure you label each set at the top. Press all the seam allowances for both the bright and the light towards the top. Before you start slicing these up, I suggest you double check the order. See how the colors stair-step down? If there's any mix-ups at all, you can fix them now a lot easier than later. Once we're sure that our strips are in the right order, we're ready to do the subcutting. For each of the strip sets, we'll cut it into thirds. Thirds for the brights and thirds for the lights. Then those will be sewn together. And notice how we have dropped the light down 1 inch. This means that there's no matching needed. It's kind of an added bonus. Here are 3 pairs sewn together. The one to the right shows the back view, so you can see that the seam allowances are all pressed towards the top. Now we're ready to cut wedges. Take the 10-degree wedge and place the center line directly on the center seam. The wide end goes to the top, the narrow end goes to the bottom. First, cut along the sides of the wedge. The scraps you cut away can make a second smaller circle, and I suggest you keep these in a sandwich bag labeled with the strip set number. It keeps them from getting mixed up with those other wedges. Next, trim around the top and the bottom of the wedge and repeat for each sewn pair. Continue for the remaining sets. You'll have cut 36 wedges altogether. Let me introduce you to the 10-degree extension tool. This tool was designed to be used in 2 ways. One option is to connect the extension directly to the 10-degree wedge. Let me show you. I'll take the extension out of its bag, and now I put the 2 pieces together. See, they fit exactly. To connect them, I can either tape it together or I can use this tool. Here it is in its package. This tool was manufactured by Guidelines for Quilting. And what it has is little suction cups on the back, and you can put this on here, press those down, and lift up the tool like this and use it as one piece. On the back of our packaging, this graphic shows how you can use a gradation fabric to create a very quick quilt. But this isn't the quilt we're talking about today. Though in your package, can you see this little bar? I'll take that out. I'm going to take the same 10-degree extension tool and I'll put these 2 together. I need you to notice that if you put it together the wrong way, it'll flare out. That's not what you want. You want to put it together like this. And for this one, I'm going to use packaging tape and I'll put it on there. My piece is too big, but that's not a problem because I can flip that over and wrap it around. And in fact, I will put another piece so that it's taped together on both sides. What that does is it gives seam allowance to the extension, seam allowance to the wedge. When you sew them together, you get that full piece. Look at our quilt. Can you see that the framing portion is distinctly separate from the circle center? To get that distinct look, we make the wedges and the framing pieces separately. That's why we add that little 1/2-inch piece. Now it's time to make the frame. The first step is to cut framing strips, and then you'll sew those into strip sets. And now you're ready to take those strip sets and cut framing pieces. Framing pieces 6 and 5 are cut using the full tool. Pieces 7 and 4 are cut using the first slots. Pieces 8 and 3 use the second slots. Pieces 9 and 2 use the third slot. And frame piece number 1 uses the 27-inch line. See the chart on the right side of the page? This will be so helpful when you're cutting all the different frame pieces. You can download a copy of this on our FAQ page. You might be new to acrylic tools that have slots, so I would like to show you an example of how to use that. Get out our book and make absolutely sure that when we look at our strip set 3, that the pink is at the bottom and the orange is at the top. It is so easy to get those twisted around. Next, we're going to use our tool. And if I leave my words up, you can see that the slants all go to the wrong direction. So for piece number 4, I have to turn this over. The first thing I do is to center the center line with my orange. Framing piece 4, I will need to use the first set of slotted lines. So I use a mechanical pencil, and you can see I've pulled my lead way out, and I'm going to draw on it. I don't let it move. I hold on to it. I use my rotary cutter, and I cut along the bottom, the side, and the side. Get my little scraps out of the way. Now, can you see those marked lines? Let me show you how we're going to use those. I take the edge of my tool and line it up with those marked lines. And now I cut it. And we have piece number 4. For number 8, I need to turn my tool over again. So it's right side up. And for number 8, it's also going to be centered with the orange. And we're going to be marking the second row. This is where that chart that I told you about earlier comes in so handy. We can keep all this straight. So what we're going to do is cut the bottom and the side and the other side. Now we'll connect those drawn lines. And there you have it. We have piece number 8. Look on page 8. See the set 5? This little bit is made with the leftovers from sets 1 and 4. We will rip out this seam and this seam. Now that I've ripped those apart, I'm going to take the pink and the green and discard those. I'm going to take the blue, move it around, and sew those two together. Once the pieces are sewn together, trim away one side and place that straight edge on the 27-inch line and cut around the other sides. Now you have framing piece 1. You can find more diagrams and helpful hints for making the frame pieces if you look on our website. Find the category named Rest of the Story. You have the wedges made. You have the framing pieces. Next, it's time to assemble the quilt. You really must have a large design wall or at least a clean floor to arrange the wedges and the frame pieces. Once you have all your pieces arranged on your design wall, then we're ready to start sewing the frame pieces to the wedges. So I will take them off one at a time, put the two ends together, and sew those together. Then I will press the seam open. I found that it lays so much flatter that way. I'll bring it back, sewn, and put it right back in the same position. I'm just going to work one wedge at a time. When I have all the units sewn together, frames to the wedges, then I'll sew those units together. You'll also notice that the center of the little tiny mini wedges, once they're sewn together, only a 6-inch circle, and we'll applique that on. Now sew 4 identical strip sets using bright fabric. Each set will be subcut and then joined together.
This will give you 4 pieced colorful border strips.
So there you have it. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that this was the fastest project you've ever done, but it's not the hardest either. Just stay at it and you sew the strip sets together, slice them, put them back together, and cut wedges. That's really all there is to it. And it's so worth it, the results. I love it. It's one of my favorite projects. You can find our 10-degree wedge, our extension squared, and the prism pattern all on our website, phillipsfiberart.com. And we hope to see you there. Thank you.